Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of
Ghetto.
My name is Hans.
I'm Edward.
And we are your hosts for now and forevermore.
Until one of us becomes the kingpins of the underworld and decides to just rip it apart and not have any crime anymore and live a utopic life.
Just for a moment, I was like, is this going to be a negative one? Because
even if it were just the kingpins, we'd still be amazing and rich and all blinged
I
out.
love how the spin was positive regardless of whatever the outcome was supposed to be. Oh, welcome. Thank you everybody for joining us again for another episode of Giddle. This is Giddle 76, and yeah, we hope you enjoy. A little bit of a different intro compared to normal. I just figured, is it really necessary for me to always say what the podcast is about for every single episode? I kind of just want to get into it.
Yeah, the thing is, I guess, or I don't. To me, it doesn't matter.
I mean, I know it's been like a bit of a ritual for us for 75 episodes, but I kind of felt, here's 76. Let's just break away a bit from that. Let's just be like, hey, welcome to Gettle, and let's just get to it.
Listen, this podcast has gone through a million changes in the last 5 episodes alone.
Well, I mean,
so why care about tradition now?
Now you made me feel bad about it.
No, it is what it is. That's
okay.
Life.
So, Edward, how are you doing? How's it going on your side?
I'm actually good. The pain still exists as always, but I can speak.
Oh, that's good. Thing. Yeah, that's very good.
And I'm actually not tired, and I'm actually not sitting with a headache at the moment. I am good. What about you?
Welcome to the next episode.
Next topic. I won't say this much.
Yes. I think we're both going to do it. Are we jinxing it? Or are we doing it at the same time?
Maybe.
Are we going to do it on 3? 3.
Go.
Okay.
You can go.
Okay. No, let's do it on 3. 1, 2, 3. Fully vaccinated.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was unsure how you were going to word that, so I didn't want to mess it up.
Actually,
yes.
I only realized after doing the countdown that there's a bit of a delay. So.
How bad is the delay?
It's actually pretty good. FaceTime is like legit great. But yeah. Onto great news. Yes. Edward and I and Edward's wifey and some of the other people that I care about in my life, we are all fully vaccinated.
Yeah, fine.
Yeah. Okay, I don't know what you're doing, Edward.
I was doing the last bit of whatever you're doing because everyone always just does the first bit and it irks me. So, yeah.
Okay, so yeah.
We are
fully vaxxed,
and immune.
I wouldn't say healthy, but we're definitely fully vaxxed. At the very least, right?
Yeah, at the very least.
Look at you, healthy, but drinking a Monster for all to see.
I'm trying to hide the slogans, okay?
Yeah, it's not sponsored. This is not. They haven't sponsored it. Okay.
I'm doing like all kinds of acrobatics here not to show it.
So we officially fully vaxxed. So although, we understand that we can still contract the disease, we can still transmit it, the good news, and we're all about that good news on Gettle, is that we at least shouldn't die from it. Okay? Even if we have a breakthrough infection and somehow end up going to the hospital, chances are very good you'll make it. You're going to make it, y'all. If you get vaccinated, you're going to make it. That's, I feel like there's like a rap in there.
That's a good slogan, But news just in, like while we were waiting to start this episode, they are finally opening vaccinations for 12 to 17-year-olds.
Oh, I did see that. See that.
And I'm saying, they'll come up with all the weird-ass slogans, all the TikTok trends. And for a change, I have faith that'll be good trends and good slogans, just so even more people are getting vaccinated.
Yeah. So, oh, gosh, the memes. So, I know this is like something we're talking about So meme culture has been around for years now, right? And I actually came across this very interesting video, which does its best to try to explain Zoomer meme humor. So, like, for example, our generation, Ed, because we're millennials, we used to have like the troll faces. That's sort of like, that's ancient now. That's like 5 years ago. Yes. Whereas today's humor, it's, well, apparently, allegedly, according to, I don't know what internet sleuths are out there, but Zoomer humor, I love how that rhymes. Anyway, Zoomer humor apparently is very much like, they'll have a picture of a frog and it's standing on a piece of cheese.
Yeah.
It means absolutely nothing, but apparently that's their thing. That's their jam,
I saw this video. It was a super short video about the differences between our memes and the new memes. And our memes were literally just a crying cat or a T-Rex with his hand or whatever.
Yeah.
Whereas Zoomer humor is, and then the guy made this little Photoshop and he showed how he made this with basically dark shadowy figures, and it's all blown out of proportion. And he puts a caption there, me and the boys at 2 a.m. And that's the kind of humor they have. And that's funny. Like, I found it funny. And why it's funny, I cannot tell you.
It just is. It just is, yeah.
And I don't know, I kind of dig it. I don't like this TikTok stuff.
It's okay. I mean, it is what it is, right?
Yeah.
Much
humor.
Like, I mean, I kind of wish there were more coffee memes. And the only reason why I'm thinking about that right now is because for a change, now, y'all who've been listening to Get Ill know Edward and I we're coffee fanatics, okay? We coffee ourselves into oblivion. If we haven't had our like 5 cups a day, we ain't doing our day right. Hey, Edward?
Yeah, so, pretty much. We need to be buzzed
but,
all
you know,
time.
But with that said, I've actually had some tea over the last couple of episodes because just from a voice perspective, a little bit of tea with a bit of ginger, it sort of eases the throat. Just a little bit, because coffee is meant to be enjoyed. You're not meant to be speaking monologues with coffee, right? Because you're meant to be savoring the taste.
Coffee is just a, listen, let's get the energy for the day. Tea is like, I'm prepping my vocal cords. Like, we're doing this shit.
Yes, exactly. That's like spot on. Now, I've actually forgotten where I was going with this whole coffee thing because I just remembered we generally have the question of the week.
Oh gosh, that completely eluded us.
I've just been like totally talking about a whole lot of like other random shiz. Okay, let me just throw it out there. I'm just going to throw it out there.
Yeah, please.
Edward. You know what? It probably might even relate to coffee anyway, even though I wasn't allowed this as a kid, so who knows.
Mm-hmm.
What instantly makes you feel like a child again? I know my answer. I'm very curious to know what yours is.
Why are you putting me on the spot like this?
Because this is how the Gettle question works.
I don't know, Hans.
Well, while Edward is thinking about coming up with an answer, for the rest of you who like to listen and watch, let us know. What instantly makes you feel like a child? It could be anything. Maybe it's somebody talking to you, a TV show, an advert, something you eat, something you do. What just makes you feel like a kid again?
I will say this much. I can't think of anything to answer directly, but I will say this much. The most recent example of me being super giddy about something, and I'd attribute that to be childlike, okay?
Yes.
It would be the last time I saw, or the first time I saw a trailer for Mass Effect Legendary Edition.
Oh,
because that's a game I absolutely grew up with, and when I saw that trailer for the Legendary Edition, which is just the remastered edition, I was absolutely giddy. It was the first time in a long time that I felt like that.
Okay, but now, is that not just nostalgia versus making you feel like a child again?
I don't know. I was like, and even Marianne was all like, "What's going on? What's up?"
I mean, you see,
I don't know.
You see that feeling of nostalgia for me. Like, I wouldn't attribute nostalgia to feeling like a child again.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I get that.
So, like, things that are nostalgic, would be like when they remake Power Rangers movies and stuff like that, because I obviously grew up with that and I think it's really cool. And when just as an example, this is not the one thing that makes me feel like a kid again, but if I was to think about Power Rangers and go and take those toys I used to have, like that would make me feel like a kid again, you know? But now again, that's nostalgia driven.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to answer from my perspective, if you don't mind.
Yeah,
right?
please do.
So for me, it's dinosaurs. It doesn't matter whether it's Jurassic Park or whatever. I have this beloved fascination for these creatures, as everybody will attest to it. If you've listened to previous episodes of Gettle, I'm always talking about it. And so when I read something new about them, or like with Jurassic World Evolution 2 that's coming up, that makes me feel like a kid again. And yes, I know perhaps I could relate that to the nostalgia of having loved Jurassic Park.
Fascination.
Yes. I think that's maybe what we're getting at here. Hey? Like what is that thing that is in your life that every time you think about it, you resort to being like a kid again? So there's more to it than that. And I didn't think I was going to really reveal this on the podcast, but I used to, and I'm sure I've mentioned this before, and my family will attest to it. Those of you who do listen will know and will probably cringe as I talk about this. But I, for many years, used to pretend to be a dinosaur. I had the moves, the screams, I had everything. I used to run around the garden pretending to be a velociraptor. And as an only child without siblings, I was very rough because I didn't know how to tone down being a meat-eating dinosaur when my family came around. You know, my cousins who used to hate it, you know, they will talk about how they used to get bitten on the arms and the neck and being kicked in the groin. And
so you were a weirdo.
I was a normal child. Okay, I
absolutely normal.
I don't pretend to be a dinosaur now in my my adult age, but I do.
So
I do. Okay, I've got to admit this. So I did. You know, I'm a lover of dinosaurs. Okay, so I did the other day assume the position of my velociraptor. Not in bed, okay? Yes. I can still do it. Like, I have the claws. And the only thing I don't have going down, though, even though I'm an adult now, would be the scream. I just can't remember how I used to do it, but it used to be so spot on.
Wow.
Anyway, so for me, childlike would 100% be dinosaurs.
So essentially, whenever I was thinking I could be a Super Saiyan and screaming my little lungs out, you were thinking making like you're a velociraptor and running around the garden.
And attacking people, yes.
And attacking people, which is completely normal. I honestly cannot tell you. What I will say, though, is that mecha, the genre mecha, that's always fascinated me. Whenever I see something related to it, I will always research the crap out of that. And I don't think it's, again, I think it's more fascination than anything. And I would attribute that to childlike fascination.
Yes.
As well.
So you know what? It was remiss of me to try to separate nostalgia from childlike fascination.
No, but I get why you
No,
did that.
but I mean, in many respects, the only way you could think about being a child is from something that brings on nostalgia, right?
Yeah. That makes sense.
Do you know what I mean? Because, I mean, obviously, we speak as adults today, right? But even though we're adults, a lot of the times we still feel, I mean, I personally still feel very young. I don't feel like I'm on my way to the 40s, you know? It's
Look, we may look like we're 80 years old, but we are young.
Okay? You know, so obviously it's all tied together. Like even if, you know, even if it like here's something that's going to make me giddy, right? That I'm very excited for. I mean, I grew up with Halo. I loved Halo and Xbox. I'm still a fan of Halo today. And as an adult, I have the mullahs. So I ordered the special limited collector's edition Halo Infinite Edition of the Series X. And I can tell you, I am so excited for that thing. And I would like to think that would be, you know, it'll make me feel like a child again when I get it and open it, right? Hey? I don't know now if I'm answering this in the right way. I still kind of feel dinosaurs is the right thing because
that's the thing.
Getting new products is always nice.
But there's a reason they say boys and their toys.
Don't come here with your stereotypes now, hey?
Hey, but it's evidently very true because if I had the money, I'd have an entire rack or shelf, I guess is the correct word, for Spider-Man collectibles. Because I absolutely love it. And I guess the superhero himself, I have all the movies at my disposal.
Yes, that's it.
I have all the animations at my disposal.
That's it. It's Spider-Man for you. How did we only just I know you so well. I know it's Spider-Man.
I even thought around it when I was thinking of the question. I went to Mecha, I went to Dragon Ball Z, I went to Beyblade. But at the end of the day, it's all Spider-Man.
Yeah. Well, not all Spider-Man, just that when you think of or see something Spider-Man related, you feel giddy, right? You feel like that excitement, that big-eyed, wow.
I know I was thinking about Mass Effect earlier because evidently I was just looking at some Mass Effect videos while I was waiting for this episode to start. But that Spider-Man No Way Home trailer, look at that.
Oh, wow. For those of you who are listening only, Edward is showing us his goose flesh and it is legit it's prevalent.
Epic.
Like you can, I was like, I'm going to screen cap that and put it on Twitter.
Well, I think
why you should be listening to Ghetto. This is what it does to you.
See, there's your answer.
Oh, there we go. That's your answer.
Yeah.
I mean, for goodness sake, you got goose flesh just thinking about it.
Just talking about it.
If that's not what makes you feel like a child again, I don't know what would.
Yeah.
You see, now, further unpacking this, right? This. So we've mentioned, obviously, it would have ties to like nostalgia and that, right?
Yes.
But now, then again, perhaps it's also just what you're severely interested in. Now, I say this because, don't get me wrong, I love dinosaurs. I just enjoy playing games and consuming media that is dinosaur focused, all right?
Yes.
But do you know what really gets me giddy?
What?
New tech. So like I am out of this world excited for Apple's event next week. Okay, because I have been waiting what seems like forever for their Mac Pro version of whatever they're doing with their M1 technology, so that I can finally buy it and have it and use it, and my life will be a dream again when I produce content. Yes, I'm spoiled, but
I get
but like every time there's an Apple event, I have this childlike amazing. It's the same feeling for like. Well, how I used to feel about E3. I haven't felt this way about E3 in a very long time. But I did feel like this for the Series X and PlayStation 5. It brought out that
sense.
So I would almost say that like on par with my love for dinosaurs is my love for tech. For tech and new things, right? Hey?
Yeah.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
I mean
I wouldn't say I feel the same way about tech because to me, I'm more consumer than I am techie.
Ed, I mean,
I used to be an early adopter for everything. I used to be beta tester for Mixit. I'm that old. I used to
even
be a
know
beta
what
tester
Mixit
for
is.
all the things. Today, I just can't be arsed. I can't be. It's too much of a hassle.
No, you see, this is the difference, right? So when you're younger, because this is all related, right? Nostalgia and being a kid again. When you're young, well, then again, some adults enjoy it today, right? But hold on, before let's just talk about it. Let's talk about it. When you're young, like I used to be a huge PC person. You know this. I've always had a PC. I've always been very blessed. My dad was very much into tech, and I would always need the new Pentium 2, Pentium 3, giving my age away. And I still remember getting a computer that had a CD-ROM drive, 8-speed, because it went up from 4-speed the year before, so my StarCraft was super fast now. And I've always I suppose, loved that element of it. And for many, many, many years, I remained, a real geek in that sense. always looking at the new graphics cards. I used to go with my dad they used to call it the computer show. It was once a year in South Africa, in Johannesburg. And you'd go and you'd see all the new things. And I still remember like the Reva TNT and the Voodoo cards, This is like way before even ATI was even a thing,
Yeah. That was back when cards were like 12 meg.
Yeah, if that, right? If that. Like, it was like, they would have like 4028 kilobytes of memory. You wouldn't even say 4 megs, and that was like massive, So I've always loved it. And I used to always really be into it. Like, I built my own computers for a long time. I used to have an Alienware when Alienware was still like whoa, you have an Alienware, not what it is today. Now it's just an overpriced, you don't even bother with it,
Yep.
And then weird. I think as I matured and as certain priorities started changing, so I went from being, this kid who had a lot of time, right? Because as children you've got time to tinker and play, and if something's not working, you can spend days and hours trying to get it to work.
Yep.
To being a student and still, admittedly, still having a lot of time, but then slowly, like especially towards my master's, where I couldn't waste time doing things that were not research related, And then as I got older, my priority started shifting from, oh, cool, I'm going to tinker, to, I really need the stability and reliability. I don't want Windows to give me an error now. So that was basically when in 2010, I purchased my first iPad. And I loved it so much, I bought my MacBook Air. And that was actually the first time ever that I had switched to Mac. And what was weird is for 6 months after that, I kind of did PC and Mac, and then eventually just switched over to Mac completely. And I've never looked back. And the reason why, now that I'm thinking about it, is because Mac gave me the kind of reliability I was missing in Windows at the time. I mean, I'm not talking about now. I mean, this is now 2010, 2011. Nobody can argue that like Vista was a train wreck. Okay.
No, no one can. No one will.
So if you go all the way that far back, and if I think about what it was like working on a Mac, how much easier that made university for me, and then you come to, as you age and you mature, you realize how important it is to have things work when you need it to work, versus trying to troubleshoot something, because that just takes away time that needs to be put towards adult things.
Yeah.
Right? Do you get what I'm saying?
Pretty much, yeah.
I'm sorry. I've just been like talking the whole time.
No, I dig this. I dig your revelations that I'm hearing here.
So it's interesting to me, because I've always thought about going back to PC, but I just can't, because and this relates to what you said, right? About how you no longer run betas and stuff like that. And I get it. I know why. Because now, if I need to make a call, right, and my phone app doesn't work, and now I'm losing money, and money means I don't eat. Okay.
Well, to be fair, it's a half truth when I say I don't run betas. I still beta iOS and Mac OS, but it's because I know they are stable. The moment I hear they're not, I'll jump back. Because I can't deal with the troubleshooting.
It's fine with tinkering with certain things, right? Like, I have my Xbox Series X on the beta ring. Okay, much to my detriment sometimes. Okay, but at least if my Xbox is not working, it's not now impacting everything else in my life.
Yes.
Now I can't work because now I've got to.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean? It's purely for leisure. So if that doesn't work, oh well, it's fine. I'll default to another Xbox in my house, or I'll play on my Mac, or I'll play on my iPad, or I'll watch movies. I don't know, whatever.
Yeah, and quite curious as well. Like you said, you pretty much gave up on PC, which is fair.
Yeah.
You're all Mac and Xbox now, whereas I still have a PC.
Yeah.
And I work on the Mac. So I'm basically best of both worlds.
Yes.
Reason for that is just the PC is my preferred platform.
Yeah. For games.
For
games, yeah.
Stuff. Yes.
Yeah.
So it's strange how we grew up.
Well, no. Well, here's another interesting observation, right? So I've always had PC and I've always had console. But when I moved to Mac, I became far more of a console gamer. But then again, at the same time, that was also what I feel was the heyday of consoles.
Yeah.
Well, my
makes sense.
heyday, as in
Well,
that
no,
was
it was though.
no, but that was no. Well, you see, depending on how old you were, will depend on when you felt was the heyday. So
Okay, yeah.
So for me,
Yeah.
it was the Xbox 360 era. That for me was like the pinnacle of incredible games that came out. You know, I'm talking about Xbox 360, PS3, and was it GameCube? The GameCube or the Wii? It was. I think it was the Wii. Actually, I think it was the Wii. Yeah,
because the GameCube was way before even.
For me, that was like an exceptional era of changes and developments because, you know, online started becoming far more of a thing, which it wasn't before. You know, the Internet of Things, connectivity, and so on and so forth. And I think also compared to today, right? The 360 and the PS3 were way ahead of computers.
Oh, for sure.
You know, that was back in time when consoles could be more advanced than computers.
Yes.
Whereas today, it's, well, for the last 2 decades almost, gosh, consoles haven't been able to catch up to PC. As a matter of fact, they're just taking parts that are currently available, you know?
But the issue is, though, PC have become an incredibly... super expensive, I guess, just the term.
Actually, I think the term you might be looking for is inaccessible. It actually went from...
there you go.
Computers went from being the most accessible like device to use for gaming or whatever to completely inaccessible if you want to play the best.
Exactly. Like that entire argument of, PC's best, it's kind of moot when you have to think about my 26,000 Rand piece is best versus my 8,000 Rand
look,
Series
that's
X.
still still like entry level, okay? Because if you want to get like the 3080 Ti or whatever, you have to spend 25 grand alone.
That's pretty much the price of
just for
card.
exactly.
So nowadays, even as I sit here with a PC and I prefer a PC, I would not recommend a PC for someone coming to me and say, hey, what's the best value for money gaming platform?
Do you know what I just realized?
What?
And purely because of what you just said. If you were going to spend 30 grand on a gaming PC, maybe more, let's say 40 grand, right? For something really good.
Yeah.
Do you know what you could get for 40 grand?
What?
You can get an Xbox Series X and a MacBook Air.
Yeah.
And you'd be solid. You'd be done.
If you have a fiber home connection, you can just play your Series X wherever you are in the house anyway, with your MacBook. Using your MacBook.
Yes,
I mean.
yes.
So you're set. There is that.
Yeah, there is that. So for those of you who are listening, and even Edward,
PSA, a quick PSA for you.
Absolutely not what we planned on talking about.
Obviously.
Which is generally always the case when it comes to Geralt. And I don't even feel like segueing anywhere else because I'm really enjoying what we're talking about.
Well, on the topic of games, I will say this much. I have been playing a few nowadays.
Yes, you have.
Yeah. And all of those reviews are like going up this week on
well, some of them are already up.
Yes. So there is Far Cry 6, which I have thoroughly enjoyed. I think it's one of the best.
It's got what's that guy's name? The main villain. I forget the actor's name. Yeah, the actor's name. He's so good. The Breaking Bad guy. The chicken.
Esposito.
There we go. He's so good.
The chicken guy.
Well, you know, he is from Breaking Bad. He's that's the chicken king.
If you say chicken guy, everyone will know.
You know what he should have been?
Collected.
He should have been coffee guy. Because, I mean...
To be fair, yeah, it should have been.
Well, I mean, technically, right, in Far Cry 6, he does coffee, doesn't he?
Mostly tobacco, but there are coffee fields as well. You burn one of them down quite early on.
Then not quite the farming or whatever it is that I was hoping
not quite.
Actually, you know what? They shouldn't be burning stuff like that down. I mean, I mean,
if it beats the depression, I guess you should be.
Okay, fine. If you want to really get into the nitty gritty of it. But what I wanted to say is, so Edward and I, we love coffee, and I think this is what I was kind of getting at earlier in the episode when I was saying, and how I actually have a coffee that I've been deliciously sipping on and enjoying with my Ember mug, which is just chef's kiss. Anyway. we've spoken a lot about coffee. We spoke about ginger coffee in episode 58, the health benefits of coffee in episode 53, how good coffee pulp is. Like how Edward is talking about how they get destroyed in Far Cry 6. They should be using the coffee pulp to like maybe regrow it or something. How much coffee you need to drink in order to pass away, my dear fellow millennials. Episode 47.
I forgot about that one.
And how similar coffee is to vaginal fluids. So, we've spoken a lot about it. And I do also remember us, and this is what made me think of it, right? When you were speaking about Far Cry and, burning down coffee and whatever the case is. Something that I remember coming across recently is coffee and climate change. Remember we spoke about this?
Yeah,
I can't remember the episode, but how...
And you only briefly mentioned it as well.
Well, because it's tragic. If we don't stop using plastics and things, we're not going to have coffee. And that is like the one thing that should be getting all of us involved, okay?
Listen, caffeine makes the world go round, literally. So there's that.
But I've got good news.
Yeah.
I've got good news. So although coffee is influenced by climate change, right?
Yes.
And we know we've also spoken about how meat production is allegedly part of the problem, because of all the greenhouse gases and blah, 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 blah. And remember we spoke about cellular agriculture, right?
Yep.
Unfortunately, I can't remember the episode now, but it was absolutely fascinating. And I'm all down for lab-grown meats, okay? Because if it means that you can get whatever you want for cheap or even doing it at home, sign me up. I want some.
Of course. Let me eat myself. If it means I'll...
Yeah. So, I remember that episode. That was so good. Anyway, now, why I'm mentioning all of this is because some very, very clever scientists at the VTT Technical Research Center in Finland have, and get this, our coffee fiends, get this, they've determined how to make coffee from cells. Now, not cells like human cells or whatever the case is, but like the plant cells from the coffee bean plant.
From the mitochondria, which is the powerhouse of the cell.
Chondria, yeah. Anyway, but how incredible. So not only can we now grow animal flesh, including our own flesh right at home if you want to eat it, we can now possibly grow coffee and always have it. So even if the end comes and the earth is scorched, we can still have coffee.
Enjoy coffee beans. Too bad the guys from Last of Us didn't think about that,
Oh. I don't know.
That's fascinating.
Right. And apparently it's like I don't want to say super simple because none of the science is ever super simple, right?
It's science.
But what they apparently do is they have cell cultures that float in some bioreactor with some nutrient medium, blah blah blah, with some animal plant stuff. All I care about is that coffee will remain, and climate change be damned. Now hold on.
Just imagine.
Now, this doesn't mean everybody must start littering again and stuff now. This is just...
Oh, please. Please don't. Please don't. That's going to suck just for everyone.
For everybody.
Yeah.
On that note, Tori, just before you continue, do you know that they found plastic at the bottom of the Mariana Trench? Do you know that that's the deepest point on Earth? In the ocean.
I know that.
It's bad, right? Anyway.
I'm just wondering how it got there because that had to float down for years.
Right? But that's it. We're destroying the earth.
Wow.
Despite the fact that we can grow coffee. I don't know. Okay,
well,
look.
I can just imagine, walking into one of those Amazon self-checkout malls.
Yeah.
And you look to your left and there's an entire aisle with a brand called Grow Your Own. And then it's human meats, plant meats, and coffee. And then basically,
listen,
it's all meat.
I'm down for that future. Okay, you want to give me coffee flavored bacon because you genetically engineered it? Cool, bruh.
Fine,
sign me up. Sign me. Yeah. Actually,
make them if you will.
This actually makes me want to talk about so many other things, which I'm not going to. Because there's been so many incredible advances in CRISPR. We've spoken about CRISPR before, right? But anyway, I don't want to talk about that now, just because they're too intense for me to I don't have a full grasp on it. So if I talk about it now, I'll literally be talking out of my ass.
That's fine. I will say this. I mean, you mentioned that it's scientific backing and what. I found out that coffee, okay, now
Yeah.
we're going back into our old ways here, but coffee is actually a scientifically proven aphrodisiac. Okay?
Oh, but come now. Who didn't know that?
We all knew that, but now there are studies and there are papers on that shit. Now we'll link to that down below. I'm not gonna rehash that.
Okay, but hold on.
Yeah.
Wait. Just give us give me one or two pointers at least. You've dangled this carrot now about scientific evidence.
I didn't read more. I can give you another scientific back because okay. So basically, what happened is I found a list as I tend to do. I read lots of lists at 3 a.m.
Oh, but of course, I mean, who doesn't?
But I found an actual list of like super scientific studies.
Okay.
All backing coffee for whatever reasons. Now, one of those other studies proved that coffee decreases the risk of ED.
This is why. Look. So Edward and I, thankfully, are fully vaxxed, right? And
yes.
We have mentioned this before, but if y'all bitches out there don't get vaxxed, just note that one of the major symptoms, not very prevalent, but it's a possibility.
It's major.
Okay.
If I had that symptom, it would be major. I'm sorry, but
basically, you can get ED if you catch COVID. So
yes.
now please go and get your vax, go get your shots so that you can get over it.
Yeah.
But if for whatever reason you get it and you're suffering, drink that coffee, that cup of joe.
Speaking of cup of joe as well, kind of an offshoot from the ED thing and the libido thing.
Of course.
I have a recipe for sex coffee. Now, basically what it is
Wait. Hold on.
What?
What do you... Okay.
Okay,
so wait. So this is like the first thing that came to mind was GTA and drinking coffee. You know, like
that mod.
Yeah,
hot coffee. What's it called?
Okay,
yeah.
Wait. So we've mentioned before, right? In one of our previous episodes, ginger coffee. You remember that, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I do.
Now explain to me why or what sex coffee is. Because how is this better than my ginger coffee?
So ginger coffee is good for the throat. It soothes the throat. Okay. Sex coffee, which is what it's called on at least 2 websites that I searched for the recipe, is basically a mixture of maca, cocoa, cinnamon, honey, and coconut.
Macau? Do you mean Macau?
Whatever.
Well,
I don't know how it's
know.
pronounced. I think it is Macau. I think you're correct.
Okay. No, is it no? Because hold on. There's cacao, which is different to cocoa.
Yeah, it's cacao. Sorry, not cocoa.
Are you sure it's not matcha?
No, I'm sure it's not matcha.
Maca?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I need to know what that is now quickly. So carry on.
It must be Macau.
No, tell us.
It's basically a ground powder.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so it must be Macau then, because that's how I know it.
Okay.
Anyway, so this recipe, it takes all of these ingredients. Now, every ingredient has some form of assistance to the libido and the sex drive.
Yeah.
For one reason or another, such as cacao, it's a known stimulant.
Edward, I just want to let you know, you are right. It's not Macau. So I was getting confused with cacao. Remember, like I said? And maca. No, it's maca. Maca's its own thing.
But I also knew it as Macau.
It's Peruvian ginseng. But that makes sense. Everybody knows that ginseng is the pumping herb.
I know, but this is like the raw version of that.
Oh, I'm sure it's raw.
So take the entire thing is that you basically mix all of this together. I'll get to the actual recipe in a second. But,
yeah.
But so we know that all of these, like honey, is a stimulant for you. It actually increases stamina. I mean, if you did not know that, it does.
But I suppose that might be a conversation for another day. But now,
yes.
Does honey? Okay, but I want to ask you anyway because I want to know.
Okay.
Does honey give you the energy because of the sugar content, or is there another reason?
It's actually a very good natural energy boost. Yes.
Because of the sugar content, or
because of its own natural sugars. Yes.
Okay.
So I use honey. I don't use sugar. I either drink coffee without sugar or honey or anything. Or I'll
Edward,
usually
that
put a
is the
little bit of honey in
way.
there.
That is the way to drink the good old coffee.
I tend to drink my coffee just black without anything. So there's that. But when I do add milk, I'll add honey as well. No sugar, please. I hate that shit. I actually got sick the other day from adding sugar to my coffee, if you need to know, Hans. I think it's because I don't do sugar anymore.
Okay.
So,
yes. Deservedly so. Okay. You want to destroy your coffee like that in such a sacrilege way? Then you deserve to get sick.
I guess. So anyway, you put all of those together, which is basically all aphrodisiacs.
Just to recap. Okay. So it's what? It's Java, which is coffee, right? What's Java?
Yeah, it's just
coffee, maca, cacao, and cinnamon.
Yeah, and coconut milk and honey.
Oh, okay.
So essentially, and the recipe is 2/3 of a cup of hot coffee. So that's just basically an almost filled cup.
There's not any less, and like, are you even doing coffee in your life?
Right, exactly. Like my cups are actually mugs.
Yes, that's same. Ching ching, ching ching.
Yeah, there we go. So. 2/3 cup of hot coffee with 1 tablespoon of raw cacao, 2 tablespoons of coconut milk. Now, I know you like coconut milk.
I do, yeah.
1 tablespoon of honey.
Yeah.
Half a teaspoon of cinnamon. Okay. And 1 teaspoon of maca. You add all of that together in a bowl and you blend it. Now, this is what caught me. This is why I had to research at least this a little bit, because you blend it until it's frothy. So
but everything frothy is good, Edward.
I know, but usually if you put fancy coffee together, it's just throw this with the coffee, stir and drink.
Yeah.
But this is it looks actually like almost milkshake, just hot milkshake. So it's super frothy.
You know what?
And then I'm gonna
try this. I'm going to do this.
You should, because I'm curious.
I'm not so sure about the honey, though, because I've been sugar-free for like 6 years now. So, I mean, I'll try. Maybe I'll do a teaspoon instead of a tablespoon, right? But like,
maybe.
This sounds very good.
It sounds amazing.
And if you are one of our regular listeners, I love trying stuff, just like I did the ginger coffee. So I'm going to do Edward's sex coffee.
My sex
and then go to bed frustrated. But I'm going to try it for you guys. Forget.
Listen, you don't need science to go to bed after this. That's all I'm saying.
Edward, I don't sleep anyway. Honestly, there are many times where I wish I was a vampire, because I don't sleep. So I might as well just enjoy the other benefits that come with benefits. But it's going to be a Twilight vampire, though. No, I mean, come on. I mean, okay. Twilight vampire for obvious reasons, because if the worst thing for you is that you twinkle in the sun, just sign me up. I've said this before. I know Edward believes that he feels the same way. You get all the benefits. You have perpetual youth. I mean, and I would spend it on more than just being a teenager all the time. Looking at you, Edward. Not you, Edward, but Edward Cullen, Edward. Sorry.
Look, if it comes to vampires, there are a few vampires I would like to be as, or would want to sire.
Who would you? Okay, I've got one in mind also for myself, but I'm curious because I wonder if it's the same. Who would you pick? Who would you
to sire you?
Yeah.
Well, one of those would be one of the vampires from Interview with a Vampire, namely Brad Pitt.
Oh, no, I would know.
Not the crazy ass Tom Cruise. He's a crazy bitch.
I want Tom Cruise to bite me.
No, he's cray. He's super cray.
I love the fact that we both had Interview with the Vampire, because that was also like in my mind, I was like, vampires.
They are just the poster boy vampires, Anyway.
Look, while we're speaking about vampires, yes. I want to talk about, I want to talk about a show, all right? Now, I don't consider this a spoiler, all right? And if it is for you, if you're listening, so sorry. But, anyway.
Oh, no. Anyway.
So, we recently watched Midnight Mass, okay?
Yeah.
And I didn't know at first. I didn't know anything about it, actually. I hadn't even watched a trailer about whether or not it'd be good, but I just saw the internet blowing up about this show and it's so good and you must watch it and blah, blah, blah. So I decided to watch it. And in the very first episode, the initial episode, they don't tell you what this creature is that's there or whatever the case is, all right? But it's pretty obvious it's a vampire. Like, it's pretty obvious that it's a vampire. And
I mean, the show's called Midnight Mass. Come on. Come on.
And it was a vampire, okay? They officially show you in the third episode out of the 7, all right? Now, I don't want to give away what happens, or I don't want to talk about those specifics, but I do want to speak about this particular vampire and why I now think people are raving about the show. So I hope this doesn't spoil it too much for those of you who listen. And if it does, feel free to skip over this section. But I want to talk about it because it was fascinating to me. So just to give a quick rundown, right? So first of all, vampire, all right? Vampire. But
cool.
The vampire is very much a creature. So you know how in previous lore, we like we just mentioned now, Interview with the Vampire, sophisticated, beautiful, they are creatures of the night, they don't go out in the sunlight and they have illustrious lives and, they're very distinctly human and they live, right? Just as
Vampire Diaries vampire. If
more like Twilight vampire, but yeah. You get what I'm getting at, right? They're young, beautiful, everything's going well for them, everything's cool, right?
Yeah.
Not in Midnight Mass. So in Midnight Mass, the vampire is very much a creature. It's a guttural creature. Now, don't get me wrong. It's quite obvious it has sentience of some kind, but they never really explore it. That's not really what the show is about. In many respects, the vampire aspect of the show is just a vessel for the true meaning of the show.
That's intriguing.
Which is very, very interesting to me, yeah.
So, but the whole concept of a vampire is a man that becomes a bat creature at a certain time, okay?
Okay.
But now, you say it's more creature-like, and there is still sentience, but does he turn back?
Okay.
Do they turn back?
So,
or not?
so the best, I suppose maybe one of the best parts about the show, right, is that it doesn't delve into Dracula's history because it's never called Dracula. As a matter of fact, no, it's considered an angel.
Oh, it's like the anime do that.
No, it is the most fascinating spin on vampirism because what so it's not really a vampire show, okay? It's more a show about religious perversion. Now just hear me out. Just hear me out about this, all right?
Okay.
So I'm a person of faith, I've mentioned before many times, and I thought that this was the most fascinating look. I'm actually getting goosey talking about it.
Sounds fascinating.
The most fascinating look at how religion can be misused for personal gain in terms of not just material wealth, but also belief.
It sounds super Stephen King-y.
Look,
actually.
yes. So the whole thing for me, and that to me was like the revelation of the show, was never mind what was happening to the characters or whatever character development or this creature, which is very guttural and is very different to the vampires that we know of, was more along the lines of how, despite the priests coming across as someone who had a lot of faith, how it really just, in my mind, looking at the show as a whole, ended up being him using the faith to grandize vampirism in a way that related to God and Jesus when they actually are not related at all.
That's fascinating.
So what I got out of it was like, we know what's happening in the world today, right?
Yeah.
You look around, look at America in particular. You have these right-wing Christian people who don't want to take the vaccine and they believe in this and they believe in that and, don't get abortions and blah, 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 blah. There's so many entities that use religion to push their agenda. And for me, that was the pinnacle of the show, whereby it showcased how religion, even if taken with a bit of, no malicious intent. So obviously the priest didn't have malicious intent on the mind, right? But he used religion by perverting it to his will and his needs to get what he needed and he wanted out of his congregation. And in so doing, he perverted what the faith was actually about in terms of then converting them to vampirism. Does that make...
I love things like that.
So from that perspective, I absolutely loved it. I didn't think that overall the show was sometimes a little bit boring, but very well acted and a good story. But that for me was the takeaway. How religion can be perversely used to push agendas. And that is exactly what happens in today's society. And I have no idea if this was purposeful, but I'd like to think the creators did that on purpose. That was their message behind the entirety of it. So yes, sure, it took a nice swing at the vampire genre, and notions of what it is, but put it in such a great means of, this is actually what's happening in the world today as well. So be very careful of your religious leaders. Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The reason I like stories like this, where you have the charismatic gospel leader, which perverses, which manipulates the congregation, following. Stories like this fascinates me, and I love it so much. Like Far Cry 5, for instance. With Father John's seed, I think.
I think he's my favorite Far Cry villain.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. For sure. Stuff like that. It's just amazing.
But only if done nicely, though, right? Only if done properly, because it can be very poorly done as well.
Exactly. Because the thing with this kind of premise is that it needs to be done.
It needs to have nuance. That's it.
Exactly. Otherwise, it just comes off as a cheap, socio-political commentary.
Yes, I agree.
And you don't want that.
No.
No one wants that. When you watch a show, you want to escape.
Yes.
You don't want to be like, oh shit, that's the world I'm living in now.
It was so wonderfully done, because I also want to mention this as well. Now, quite often in Western film, cinema, entertainment, you really see the Muslim faith. And what was really nice about this show as well is that in the show, there is a character who is Muslim. And, he approaches a lot of situations in a very different way versus the Christian religious zealots on the show. And it's just such a fascinating dichotomy. And what I really appreciated about that as well is that they actually, they looked at Catholicism and the Muslim religion in a very thoughtful and respectful way. It wasn't just thrown in for the sake of being thrown in. It was there to portray a point. But with wonderful nuance. I'm very, very much looking forward to discussing this with you at a later stage once you've watched it. I think you're really going to enjoy it, actually.
I just quickly did a little search about that on Safari, and I see it basically stars everyone who starred in the Haunting series so far. The Haunting of Bly Manor, Haunting of Hill House. Namely Raoul Coley, who's amazing.
Yeah, he's
And so I think I would.
It's on Netflix for anyone who's interested.
Yes, my entire point is that it, just like those two shows, it's also Netflix. It should be very well done.
When you do watch it, we'll talk, because I'm genuinely curious to know how you felt about it. Also, if you've watched it, do you agree with my assessment? Did you also get that sort of message from it? And if not, why not? Tell me or tell us. Discuss it with us. Let us know. Hey,
is our opinion wrong or not?
Nah, duh.
It's never wrong, obviously. But what do you think, dear viewer?
Do you know what this also makes me think of? And I'm just going to briefly just speak about this just for a second. So we also watched Free Guy a couple of weeks back. That's available on Disney Plus now, and you can rent it and blah blah blah. But what was interesting about it, and I will share the review with it, is that we have Ariel, who also writes for Vamers, and what was so wonderful about her review, and it was only something that I thought about after having watched Free Guy, is how she related it very much to, it's literally just on the tip of my tongue. Jim Carrey movie where his whole life is watched from birth. The Truman Show.
Oh,
the Truman
gosh.
Show. There we go. I
There
just
we
got
go.
to go. So she actually mentions how Free Guy channels that a little bit. Now, if you don't know what Free Guy is about, it's about a video game character that becomes sentient and the escapades that result. Okay, it stars.
Yeah, it's basically an NPC.
Yeah, it's basically an NPC.
Really
Yeah,
becomes
it's got
sentient.
Ryan Reynolds in it, and it's very, very good. And Jodie Comer as well. It's decent. It's a fun film. Now, I bring that up because, you know, I'm an academic, right? You know, I really do love academia, and I'd love to one day go back into doing my doctorate and so on and so forth. But I was thinking about if I was still a lecturer, and I thought to myself, I would actually use midnight mass as part of my communications degree or communications course, because when I was studying all those years ago, the Truman Show was actually a very big part of the degree, in terms of how, you know, the media's focus on people and, you know, what it means to be surveilled. And of course, that was a very different time. That was a time before social media, before everybody had these smartphones in their pockets and could do things that we do today, before reality TV. Okay.
Yeah.
That was like a precursor to it. So I'm wondering, like, if you know, if Midnight Mass is maybe, you know, an additional interesting look and precursor to what is coming in the future, you know. Anyway, that's just a small little point that I just wanted to throw out there, because I love thinking about things like that. But yeah, that's it, Ed. I think we've reached the end of episode 76.
Yeah.
How did you feel? Nice, I loved it.
Involved discussion. Yeah.
I just, my favorite part about it is how we kind of just, I know we did one or two forceful segues, but not like the way we've done it before. You know, I felt this was okay, so if you're still listening for this long, right, you'll know that episode 75 was a quick 18-minute spiel, and it wasn't even episode 75. We pushed it out as a bonus. And the reason for that is because we had so many issues getting that episode done, and it was just, overall, Edward and I, we're tired. I mean, it is a lot of work pushing out an hour and a half episode every week with content that is engaging and relevant and interesting. Yeah. So we've decided to move to a bi-weekly schedule, especially if we're going to continue with this much. Like, I mean, we've just spoken for an hour now, which was far more than I thought we were going to for this episode, to be honest
Honestly,
with you.
yes,
I mean, as I said, I would have almost been happy to once again just cut it after the question again, because that was such a great discussion. But, you know, we've let it run because that's what we do. You know, sometimes we just let these things go. But I really enjoyed today, Edward. It felt very good. And I hope that our audience can feel that like renewed energy that we have after that week break.
Exactly. On that note, I need to mention that occasionally we will do, so we will still have something come up between now, since we're doing bi-weekly. So our listeners and viewers might still see something.
I mean, some bonuses, right? Every now, yeah.
If we
like
have
that.
something we really feel we need to discuss or whatever,
Yeah.
you will still get something. But yeah, expect for the most part bi-weekly stuff going forward, because as is evident now, this was a good ass conversation.
This was, listen, the first entire half of this episode was completely, look, it's always unrehearsed, right? Look, our episodes are always unrehearsed, but you know, we do generally find topics and we look through them and then we talk about them. You know, we think,
have
you know,
show notes.
yes, we have show notes, but the first half an hour of this was just us talking, and talking. Personally, that's what I prefer. You know, but anyway, this was a nice bit of both. We were quite satisfied from both ends, I feel. And as always, we want to know what you think. Tell us. You know, because Edward and I, we were going to be experimenting quite a bit. You know, we love Gettle, it's our baby, and we want to mess around with it. So, you know, we might every now and again push out like a 10-minute episode. You know, let us know. Let us know what you think.
If we need to, if the discussion is literally just, so how was your day? Okay, my day was good. And we sit for 10 minutes, then we'll end the episode.
Yes.
Because there's no reason to continue on.
Exactly.
And Gettle is very much
It's a labor of love.
out of our life, and a labor of love for you guys. And we love showing you guys these little snippets of our thought. Obviously, we're not going to go into our personal lives always.
Wow. Goodness knows we've revealed more
sometimes there's
than
a bit
we
of
feel we
TMI.
should.
Sometimes there is a bit of TMI, but you get the feeling. And
Listen, I'm just waiting. I'm just looking forward to doing your sex coffee now. So
you'll see in the show notes I actually linked to a video as well, which actually shows.
Oh, just how to make it. Okay. Not what happens after you've. Okay.
Oh no. You can do that research yourself. But yeah. Anyway.
Okay. Cool. Okay. Well, that's the end of episode 76. Thank you so much for joining us once again. It's been a pleasure from both myself and Edward. Hey, Ed, it's 77 next. Well, whenever we post the next full episode, it'll be 77. So, yeah.
That'll be our Halloween episode.
Will it? Okay.
Yeah,
well,
it will be.
Until then. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye.